Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Mariam, an internal medicine trainee who joined the UK medical practice as an international medical graduate. IMT interview season is coming up and many received an invitation to the interview. Since I've started my internal medicine training just this August, I decided to share my thoughts and preparation for the interview. As an intro, internal medicine training is a new format of core medical training. Interview period is usually mid-January to mid-February. Before we dive in, bear in mind that a specialty training interview is just another exam you need to study and practice. So first things first, how to book interview and which one to book. Since COVID, IMT interview has changed to online. Once shortlisted, you will receive an invitation to book an interview via Oriel. It is based on first come first served basis, so pick a day that is most convenient to you, like you're not working, you're not post-night, or you're not in the middle of a holiday. You will initially choose a time and date, and then you can see available dineries in your desired slot. There's no benefit to being interviewed at one dinery over another one. So you can be interviewed, for example, by South London Dinery, Thames Valley, North West, or any other dineries. This doesn't mean that you will get a job only in that specific dinery. It is just how IMT recruitment has planned to work as a team with different dineries throughout the UK, and also the availability of their own interview panel. After you've chosen your slot, you can easily change it if there are any other slots available. I think it's best to choose it wisely in the first attempt to avoid stress. You will receive multiple emails before your interview from that dinery, like what you need to do on the day, who to contact if you had any problem, and what the process is. Usually you need to sign a declaration form before the interview as well. Before we know how to prepare for the interview, you need to know the different parts of the interview. There are 3 main questions that you need to answer, but 6 different areas that you will be assessed in. The 6 different areas are 1. Application and achievements, 2. Suitability for IMT, 3. Clinical scenario itself, 4. Clinical scenario, the handover part, 5. Ethical, professionalism and governance scenario, and 6. Overall communication skills based on response to all the questions. And there are 3 questions, as I said. First question is application and suitability for IMT. Second question is clinical scenario and patient handover. And third question is ethical, professionalism and governance scenario. So let's discuss each question in detail. For question 1, which is the application and suitability for IMT, you will start by giving a brief overview of your achievement up to the day which are relevant to the training in internal medicine. This is where you need to be prepared to talk about yourself and your portfolio. Make sure you know what you have exactly written in your portfolio and know how to show its relevance to IMT. You need to be prepared and structured. I personally practice using the interview book. I have written my statement over and over and practiced my statement over and over. Highlight your positive points, and if there's a significant negative point in your portfolio, prepare how to reflect on it, like why that happened, what you have learned from it, and what did you do or you're going to do to improve yourself in that specific area. You should talk clearly and credit yourself for your achievement, and at the same time be humble. Some might find it difficult to talk about themselves and some might just overdo it. Bragging about yourself all the time might not be a good option. First, you're planning to enter a specialty training. You are still a junior doctor and you need to learn. And second, although the interview is designed to be a standard and not subjective, such behaviors are not quite accepted, if you know what I mean. Since you're just offering a brief presentation, panel will ask you detailed questions in different areas of your portfolio. For example, about one posting you had, a paper you published, a specific audit, an extra qualification you had, or a leadership post you had. That's why you need to be prepared. Using the interview book, you will have an idea of possible questions you could get, and please write down your replies and practice in advance. Most important point in this section is showing what you've learned, how it has changed your day-to-day job, and how you can implement this achievement in your internal medicine training. One other question that you could get in any job interview is how you see yourself in 5 or 10 years' time, which is sometimes tricky to answer. Doctors usually have a vision when they apply for IMT. Either there's a specific specialty they want to do in the future, or just they don't find themselves as surgical. It's good to discuss your career plan and what you've done or what you would like to do to get there, but at the same time, it's good to show some flexibility and room to learn new skills and giving a chance to other specialties in medicine as well. I know that it's all very overwhelming and might take a long time to write down, but it is as important as other questions. Spare some time to go through the book. Not all the sections are relevant to IMT interview, which you can simply find out. Write down your replies, read it out to a senior friend like your registrar or your consultant, and ask for their advice, and then start practicing. Practice to be clear and maintain the structure at all time, and at the same time picturing your true self. Moving on to question 2 is the clinical scenario and patient handover. In this question, you will be given a clinical scenario. These scenarios are usually from very common presentations in medicine. It could even be an acutely ill patient. You will be given 2 to 3 minutes to read the scenario, mentally prepare yourself on how to approach the patient. Then the panel asks you questions like what next steps you would take in terms of history taking, examination, lab findings, what are your potential differential diagnoses, or it could simply be anything related to the scenario. But clearly they're expecting you to answer the question as a junior doctor in their F2 year. And the last minute of this question is dedicated to handing over that particular patient to another healthcare professional. For example, it could be ITU team, your colleague, the nurses. What I found really helpful is finding the possible topics from the Oxford Handbook of Clinical Medicine, the emergency chapter. You can go through that chapter as well very quickly. Personally, went through the BMJ best practice. I find it the best tool as a junior doctor working in medicine, especially the comorbidity section gives you the extra knowledge you need for the interview. BMJ best practice is completely free for whoever is working in the NHS. Just log in using your NHS mail and open Athens account. As an example, I searched acute exacerbation of COPD. You can check important notes in history and examination, know all about the investigation you need, possible differential diagnosis, and also the treatment algorithm. I am a BMJ best practice champion and advise you all to try BMJ best practice, not only for preparing for the exam and interview, but in your day-to-day job. Apart from the BMJ best practice, I use the Medibuddy website. Just to let you know, I'm not sponsored. They have great resources for IMT interview preparation, although not very thorough, but again, it's the best out there. It has different scenarios that you can practice. For the handover part, most important thing is to get yourself familiar with the SBAR handover. SBAR is an evidence-based method of communication between healthcare workers which impact patient safety to a great degree. For each and every scenario, practice the handover in a minute. You can simply practice with your fellow IMTs, registrars or consultants. Many colleagues are more than happy to give you feedback on your handover. Medibuddy also has some handover examples that you can use. I think question 2 needs proper practice, as you can simply get a 9 or 10 in your scoring. I got 8 because I didn't have much practice. Find someone who is sitting in interview with you and practice as many times as possible till you're fluent with your handover skills. Moving on to question 3, ethical professionalism and governance scenario. There are loads of different scenarios you could get. Again, the key to success is practice. I thought this is going to be my weak point, so I spent a lot on this question and scored 9. Best source of practice is the GMC Good medical practice. Familiarize yourself to the different domains of good medical practice. There are some specific words that the interviewer is expecting to hear from you, so read it very carefully. There are some scenarios in the Medibuddy again. I found them all very helpful. As an international medical graduate, some of them might not make sense to you initially, but you'll learn as you go. Terms like lasting power of attorney was very new to me. They might also ask questions about governance, so get yourself familiar with these terms like quality improvement project, different types of it, and your possible plans. To be honest, this part of interview is quite nerve-wracking for an IMG because question 1 is about you and your plans. Question 2 is your medical knowledge and something you've been dealing with for a few years. But question 3 is something only based on the UK medical practice. So overall, I recommend going through the interview book, know your portfolio by heart, check out Oxford Handbook of Clinical Medicine, go through a BMJ best practice, GMC Good medical practice, and Medibuddy. By a simple Google search, you'd realise how many interview preparation courses and webinars are available. Make sure you attend ones that are from reliable sources like BMA or ISC Medical. Again, not sponsored. So what happens on the day? On the interview day, you need to have a good internet connection, present your photo ID to the panel and start your interview. The interviewers introduce themselves. They're usually 2 consultants. Each will score you separately on each area and the scores will add to give you a final score. It is a stressful situation, obviously, but by preparing adequately, you can minimize your stress. Dress professionally as you would on an in-person interview. Although it is difficult to make eye contact on an online interview, but try as much as possible. Be yourself. Do not memorize words and phrases that you would never use because you may forget them on the interview day. So, what to do after the interview? Forget all about the interview. Bear in mind that you're not allowed to disclose any details about your interview. I know how tempting it is, as you want to help a friend or check if you've answered correctly, but don't. Enjoy your time till the day they release the result. I was in Florence visiting the Piazzale Michelangelo when I received a horrifying email. You'll be scored from 1 as poor and 5 as excellent, which is at level expected at SD1. Last year, the score was out of 60. You will be ranked based on your score, and then you can start ranking your preferences. In a separate video, I will explain how to rank your preferences. IMT interview can be very tricky, especially if you're looking for a job in a specific deanery and the only key to success is practice. Hope you've all enjoyed this video. Share this video with whoever is awaiting their interview, and good luck.